news. Yeah, we're going to be starting off looking at the whole Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes thing, looking again at Dybala, and then moving into the Lukaku stuff and how ridiculous was him in that Anderlecht top. Well, we're going to get into it. Before we do, make sure to like, subscribe. Make sure to be putting your questions in on the live chat as well. I'm going to be checking up on it and talking about it. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So with the Eriksen rumours, they're coming out. They came originally out of AS, a Spanish company, Spanish media. The supposed rumours coming out of there saying that Fernandes has made clear his preference to go to Spurs ahead of United, and therefore that's opened up a door basically for United's long-held ambition to go and get Eriksen, and that supposedly they're close to a deal, close to around 50 million, with the 27, 28-year-old, not sure which one. The only newspapers here in the UK reporting it, though, are the Daily Mail and the Metro. And this is where we need to pour a little bit of sort of cold water on this rumour. Because, again, you want to look at who's reporting it, why they're reporting it, and what that actually means in the long run. I'm not sure there's too much truthfulness here. So coming out of AS, like a tabloid in Spain that is just not very reliable and is basically exclusively exists to cater to Real Madrid fans. It just produces nonsense for Real Madrid fans basically to satisfy their sort of dreams. And one of the angles that they're sort of saying about the whole Eriksen thing is that, or that they're implying, is that it would mean if Eriksen came, Pogba would be unnecessary at United, right? Or Eriksen would replace Pogba. Therefore, Pogba would be free to go to Real Madrid. I don't know what it is with Real Madrid and Real Madrid fans and their absolute obsession with it. They haven't stopped talking about it since they signed Hazard, basically. They haven't stopped going on about Pogba. We've made it clear. You give us 150 million, we'll sell him to you. We haven't given us 150 million. They tried to give us James Rodriguez and 27.4 million, which is nothing. And yet they're still carrying on with these persistent rumours. And so when you take into account the fact that that's where the rumours are originally coming out on, the truthfulness of them begins to look pretty unsure and pretty flimsy. Now, there's certainly an element of truth in it, as with all rumours. There's something there. And the fact is that United have always really had interest in Eriksen. You look at rumours going back a couple of years ago, they're looking at Eriksen, we're talking about Eriksen. And Eriksen's a great player and would really do well, I think, in United's system in that cam role. I'm not sure necessarily he's quick enough, but it would be a improvement on what we have in that position if we play him further forward, or perhaps we put Pogba further forward and play Eriksen further back like he does for Spurs. We'll see. And, you know, there's a Scandinavian connection between him and Ole. Ole probably likes him a lot. He's probably on a short list or a long list somewhere. But this sort of rumour has come out of absolutely nowhere. And it's almost come out as a response to the Dybala deals, which we'll talk about in a minute. It's almost come out as a response to the Dybala deals completely falling through. And with that in mind, it's often like tabloids, when one big deal falls away, they need a new big deal to sort of bring in the clicks about United. And that's what I kind of feel like this deal has sort of emerged as. So looking in at sort of just how ridiculous the rumours are, we're now going to look at the sort of Spurs supposedly going in for Fernandes, and Fernandes supposedly going to Spurs. Now, I'm not 100% sure how reliable this is. It's come out of the Portuguese media again. It could be coming out as an official thing from Lisbon, a sort of like a line that they want medias to go with in order to bump up the price for United if there is really any interest. But we spoke yesterday quite a lot about how supposedly there hasn't been any actual physical talks for Fernandes between United and Sporting, which is probably likely, and it's just all nonsense coming out of the media in Portugal. For example, if you look at how like Fernandes replied to that Instagram comment saying, "Oh, don't believe everything the media says, I'm not really on my way," it all becomes a bit ridiculous. And just to give you an idea how ridiculous Portuguese media is, Correio de Manhã, which is a Portuguese newspaper, reported that Jorge Mendes met with United reps for Fernandes. Jorge Mendes is not Fernandes' agent. I don't even know who Jorge Mendes is. There you go. Ridiculous. In regards to Fernandes, though, I don't think he's going to be signed. I think that a lot of it has just been complete sensationalism. It's a bit of a Schneider thing, where it's constantly go on about and constantly doesn't actually appear. In terms of Spurs, I'm not sure how much realism there is into that as well. Spurs, you know, have have had seasons and seasons of not spending. They've suddenly moved into their new stadium now, and suddenly they've got all this money to start spending. I don't believe that. If they do get Fernandes, it really is a possibility, though, that Eriksen could become a realistic opportunity, because he'd basically replace Eriksen, and more than that, Spurs would have to balance the books because they don't have the massive revenue that United does in order to sort of save it. The fact that they haven't spent any money while they've been investing in their stadium, which, isn't the worst thing in the world, is a sign of that. So I'm afraid that we're probably going to not be seeing Fernandes in a United shirt. And yeah, just make sure you look at sources and media and where it's coming out from before you start saying, yeah, it's deal, because how long has Fernandes been on a plane for now? Ridiculous. Right, moving on to some of the sort of lesser big stories. We're going to be looking at Dybala. Now, Alfredo Padula, who's another Italian, I think, journalist, claimed that United and Dybala have agreed an £11 million deal. This is after everything that happened yesterday. Basically, at the same time, all the newspapers like The Telegraph and Romano, the journalist Romano, were saying that, yep, the deal's off, done. And Alfredo Padula came out, probably thinking that he was going to have an exclusive and get loads of rep for it, and said, yep, £11 million. And then somewhere along the line, his sources have failed him because it's just not true. There's no way that we've agreed a deal with Dybala after the fact that all of the newspapers and all of the agents and all of the major journalists were coming out and saying, yep, the deal's off. It's incredibly unlikely that Padula is the one journalist in the world who knows about it. I spoke yesterday about how there's a possibility that sometimes clubs brief newspapers and journalists what they want the public to think. United may well want the public to think that the Dybala deal's off in order for them to tie up a few loose ends away from the public eye. I don't think that's the case here. I think that the extent to which the media's been reporting that it hasn't been happening, is that it's not going to happen, means that it's not going to happen. Yeah, if you look at some of the sources and sort of the figures flying around for what Dybala wanted, The Athletic, for example, the big new sports media thing that's signing everybody up, The Athletic estimated that it was around 16 million that Dybala wanted, and that was just too much for United, and we just turned away and walked away, which is exactly what we should be doing in that situation. Why should we be paying a player an awful lot of money to come to a club where he doesn't want to be? It's not the Di Maria issue, but it's not the same as the Di Maria issue. But I certainly question the sort of what we would have done in the past, which in the past we would have paid it. I think now the fact that we're trying to move away maybe from this Galactico-style transfer policy is a positive thing, because we wouldn't want another deadweight at the club. I'm not saying Dybala would have been a deadweight, but he would have been a deadweight if he didn't want to be there. And he wouldn't have tried as hard as other players. I really like Dybala, but what's the point of having a player who doesn't want to be there? On Juventus, supposedly, they're also looking at free players plus cash for Paul Pogba, and that's coming out of the Mirror here, again, so it's probably not likely. There's probably truth in it. For example, they're probably looking at ways that they can try and bring Pogba in, and that was one of the things they floated. Mandzukic, Matuidi, throw somebody else in, money, bring Pogba in. But again, it would be the same as the Real Madrid James Rodriguez offer. Incredibly below our valuation. And if he's incredibly below our valuation, he's going to stay. And I don't doubt that Pogba, even if he did want to leave, which I'm not sure whether that's completely true or not, he probably crossed his mind. After all the hate that he was getting, probably crossed his mind. Even if he did want to leave and he doesn't leave, I don't doubt that he's going to be professional and play at his highest standard for us. He's looked, when he's played in pre-season, he's looked like he's training hard. Ole has nothing but praise for him. So I think that there's no worry there whatsoever. On that, The Athletic also reported that the Mandzukic deal is incredibly unlikely now that the Dybala and the Pogba stuff is not going to happen, which is a shame. I think Mandzukic offers something new. I think he'd be relatively cheap. He'd be an interesting character in the dressing room. Yes, he doesn't fit the whole buy young and hungry players sort of mentality that we wanted. But you know what? Sometimes you need to bring in something different, which he would have offered. I know that there's still talks around 15 million, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen if the deal with Dybala has fallen through. And finally, we're going to look at Lukaku. What a joke this whole saga has been, eh? So yesterday, if you don't know, you would have seen it, but he trained basically with Anderlecht in a full Anderlecht strip. And yeah, now it's not unusual necessarily for players to train with other clubs if there's a reason to. For example, it's your home club, and it's a charity event. It's this. I think Rojo trained with like some team in Argentina a few months ago or something. Whatever, doesn't affect it. But the way in which Lukaku has acted this transfer window, it adds another layer to the disrespect that he's shown. The whole talking about Inter Milan and playing in the Serie A is the most beautiful thing in the world. Again, complete nonsense. Leaking the speed test reports, which is just disrespectful both to the players and to the clubs. It's been a bit of a joke from him. And the fact that it's likely that he's going to have to return to training with United is going to be a really interesting thing. I don't know in what possible capacity he can carry on being a Manchester United player. If he's on the pitch, he's not going to get good reception, and he's not going to try hard, and he's not going to play well. I think, to be honest with you, the second half of the season, he was in the shop window anyway. I think one of the reasons we played him was because we wanted to get rid of him, and if we didn't play him, it would have decreased the price maybe. Because he doesn't fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's system, does he? He just doesn't fit it. He just never really fits the other players around him, and we were like, okay, what if we get this player? Maybe it's the players, it's the service fault. But then also, it's an element of him having to make it work, and he basically has not refused to, but hasn't tried enough to make it work. Calcio in Italy are reporting that Inter are meeting Dzeko to discuss terms about that, and that would effectively put to bed their interest in Lukaku, which is not what we want. But as I've said for the past couple of weeks, Inter Milan don't have the money. Inter Milan do not have the money to pay what Lukaku's worth, hence why they were offering these ridiculous deals, hence why Italian teams loan players to each other and do scheduled payments. For example, Nainggolan going to Caligari, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it, he's going on loan. Like, there's another element of that being shown there. Let's have a look at your comments on what you're saying. United should either fine Lukaku or terminate his contract. Well, he should definitely be fined. Terminating a contract and getting rid of an £80 million asset probably isn't a sensible idea. We are working with Steve Bruce to sort out a swap deal. Jones for Longstaff swap almost done. King Cantona, I hope that's true. It's not. I haven't seen anything about it. Does he even look at the chat? Yeah, I do. I'm right here, mate. Di Maria had a good few games for United. He did. He absolutely did. There's that goal he scored. I don't know who against who, but it was an absolutely quality signing. Not knowing who Jorge Mendes is just crazy. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous for me. Why would Spurs sell Eriksen to a Premier League opponent? They aren't as clueless as their neighbours. You're absolutely right. Arsenal are the biggest banner club, but I don't see why Eriksen would want to sell their opponent, one of their better players, to a Premier League opponent, even if they are getting a replacement for him. I know that there's but interest from Europe, and the Telegraph was saying that Spurs are braced to expect like £50 million for Eriksen coming from European clubs. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry about not knowing who Jorge Mendes is. I don't know everything. I'll see you later. Thanks.